I'm haunted by a suspicion that's been gnawing at me for years, growing into a toxic obsession that's taken over my mind. I'm a 42-year-old woman, married to Luke, who's 43. His best friend, Amy, is also 43. Luke and I met in college, but he and Amy have been close since they were kids, around 7 years old. They've always shared a deep connection, describing themselves as surrogate siblings who know each other inside and out. When I first started dating Luke, I felt uneasy about his bond with Amy, but both assured me it was purely platonic, never romantic or physical. They insisted Amy was like the sister Luke never had. I trusted them, and soon my insecurities faded. Amy became my friend too, even officiating our wedding. Luke and I built a beautiful life together with a strong marriage. After we tied the knot and settled down, we saw Amy often, and I was okay with that. I spent many evenings helping Amy look for a partner, as she often complained about her bad luck in love. Luke and I started our family after marriage, and around the same time, Amy began having children too. For context, our kids are Sophie 15, Owen 12, Louise 10, and Carter 6. Amy's children are Tom 17, Kaylee 14, and twins Adam and Jenna 9. Amy wasn't in a steady relationship at the time. As far as I knew, she dated casually but not seriously. As our family grew, Amy kept getting pregnant too. Luke and I never knew who the fathers were. I assumed she might be having casual encounters and not staying in touch with the men involved. Luke thought the same. When I asked Amy about the fathers, she said she didn't know and didn't seem bothered by raising her kids alone, so I didn't press her. She had our support after all. We're financially comfortable, thanks to my well-paying job and Luke's wealthy parents who adore Amy. They were happy to help her out, providing a place for her and her kids to live. Some might call Amy a freeloader, but I never saw it that way. She needed help, and we could offer it. Amy's reasoning for avoiding birth control is complex and not fully clear to me. It wasn't religious, but it was deeply personal, and she was firm about accepting whatever came from that choice. I didn't fully understand, but I respected her stance. Given Luke and Amy's lifelong friendship, it wasn't odd for them to spend time together without me. I'd hang out with Amy one-on-one too, though Luke did it more often. I trusted them, seeing their bond as sibling-like. But now I wonder if I was naive. Luke would visit Amy's place, sometimes staying overnight. I never sensed anything romantic between them, but maybe I missed the signs. Our kids grew up together, not in the same house but close enough to form tight friendships, which I thought was great. Until now. Here's the heart of it. I suspect Luke is the father of at least one, if not all, of Amy's children. It's a horrifying thought, but I can't shake it. Luke has never seemed like the cheating type, but he spends a lot of time with Amy, and I can't recall her having a serious boyfriend. She'd flirt at bars, but nothing seemed to come of it. When she got pregnant the first time, I was curious. By the second and third times, I wondered if she had a secret lover she was hiding. But why would she hide him, especially from her kids? After our youngest, Carter, was born, Luke and I decided he'd get a vasectomy. Amy's twins were born a couple of years earlier. After the procedure, we continued our intimate life without worrying about pregnancy. Notably, Amy never got pregnant again after the twins. Is it a coincidence that Luke's vasectomy aligned with both of us stopping having kids? It's unsettling. Luke's always acted like a father figure to Amy's kids, especially as they've grown. He's never neglected me or our children, but he's deeply involved with hers too. On its own, that's admirable, but combined with other clues, it's suspicious. There's also their appearance. I won't specify details like hair or eye color to keep this vague, but Amy's kids look like they could be Luke's. Kaylee shares a rare allergy with Luke. The twins, especially Adam, resemble him strongly. Tom's personality and features increasingly remind me of Luke as he's aged. Amy's kids also appear biracial, matching Luke's race, which differs from Amy's. It doesn't prove Luke's the father, but it's hard to ignore. I've never confronted Luke or Amy about this. I don't want to be the villain, and whether they're guilty or not, I know they'd deny it and be hurt. If my kids or Amy's kids heard about this, it could cause chaos. I've hinted to Luke that I want more of his attention and less for Amy, but he either didn't notice or ignored it. He doesn't favor her over me, but I can't shake the feeling they've been intimate, likely multiple times. Amy never seemed set on motherhood. She loved her kids when they arrived, but it wasn't a core part of her life goals. When we talked about the future, she mentioned a husband and kids vaguely, not passionately. So I doubt Luke fathered her kids intentionally. It would have been a byproduct of an affair, not a plan. I've ignored this suspicion for years. It started when Kaylee's allergy was discovered, but I brushed it off. It grew stronger after the twins were born, and worse when Amy stopped having kids after Luke's vasectomy. I wish the twins were younger, born after the procedure, to ease my mind. This has tormented me, but I've stayed silent to avoid destroying our family. I could be wrong after all. But now, a new issue has me terrified. In recent months, Tom, Amy's eldest, asked my daughter Sophie out. Sophie, my 15-year-old, has matured into a confident, beautiful young woman, so I'm not surprised she's getting attention. But Tom's interest threw me. Sophie declined only because I'm strict about her dating and she knew she needed my permission. I could tell she was flattered and tempted. She asked me about it, expecting I'd allow it, but I firmly said no. This caused tension. Sophie didn't even want to date Tom that badly. She just didn't understand my refusal. I couldn't explain the real reason, only saying he's too old for her, which is true but not the core issue. I was curious about Luke and Amy's reactions. If they'd supported Sophie dating Tom, it might have reassured me I was wrong about the affair. But they backed me up, though not as strongly. Luke worried that forbidding it might make Sophie want it more, which is likely true. Amy seemed less concerned, treating it as a passing crush. But it wasn't. Tom's been spending more time with Sophie, alone or with friends, whenever possible. He's clearly smitten and wants a physical relationship. I've been hypervigilant, noticing his wandering eyes and handsy behavior, which Sophie doesn't resist. I'm terrified they're secretly dating or worse, already physical. I've tried to frame Tom as a brother to Sophie, but she sees him as a friend, not family. If Luke is Tom's father, they're half-siblings, and any romance is unthinkable. I feel helpless. Luke and Amy have spoken to Tom, but he's persistent. Sophie seems to enjoy his attention. Tom even confronted me, asking why I'm against him when I know he'd treat Sophie well. I fell back on the age excuse, but that won't hold forever. If they're still drawn to each other in a few years as legal adults, I'll have no control. Luke and Amy agree Tom and Sophie can't date, but they seem resigned, hoping the feelings will fade. I'm not so optimistic. I fear something intimate will happen soon, or already has. I'm on the verge of confronting Luke, accusing him of years of infidelity and fathering Amy's kids, which has led to his son pursuing our daughter, his sister, unknowingly. If I speak up, everything unravels. If I'm wrong, I've accused my husband and friend of something awful, damaging our bond. If I'm right, it still destroys our family structure, even if we don't divorce. If I stay silent, Sophie might end up with Tom, potentially leading to a relationship, marriage, or even children. Telling Sophie the truth risks everyone finding out, shattering my kids' view of their father and Amy. Owen idolizes Luke. Amy's kids are innocent and don't deserve this pain, though I'm frustrated with Tom's behavior. This situation is a mess, and I don't know how to proceed. I've tolerated my suspicions for too long, but Tom and Sophie's budding romance has pushed me to my limit. Advice needed. Update 1. Thank you for the overwhelming support and feedback. I was worried someone in my circle might see this, especially after it was shared on social media, but so far it seems safe. To those frustrated with my hesitation, I understand. I'm grappling with high stakes and no clear answers. I initially planned to do a secret DNA test but backed out, feeling it was unethical to test Amy's kids without her consent. My lawyer also advised against it, noting it could harm me in a potential divorce. I regret not doing it privately for my own peace of mind, as that window has likely closed. Instead, I confronted Luke and Amy together to ensure they heard my concerns directly. With the kids at school, I laid out my suspicions, citing the similarities between Luke and Amy's children, like their shared sleepwalking trait. I emphasized how much I love them, but explained how Tom and Sophie's interest forced me to ask. Had they ever been intimate? Was there any chance Luke fathered Amy's kids? Their reactions were exactly as I expected, polished and convincing, but I can't tell if they were genuine or manipulative. Amy was furious, feeling betrayed. Luke seemed heartbroken that I doubted him. They challenged my points. Why was their time together suddenly an issue? Were the kids' similarities really that unique? Hadn't I praised Luke for supporting Amy's kids before? Why wait so long to speak up? I struggled to respond. Amy snapped that the fathers of her kids were none of my business, and when I pushed, saying we deserved to know after all we'd done for her, she exploded, claiming I'd never helped her. Only Luke and his parents had. She accused me of acting superior, which I don't believe but may have unintentionally conveyed. Luke tried to calm her, but the tension was thick. I asked Luke for a paternity test for my peace of mind and Sophie's safety. He reluctantly agreed, visibly hurt that I didn't trust his word. But Amy refused outright, vehemently rejecting the idea of testing her kid's DNA. Luke tried to persuade her but couldn't, and he's right. He can't force her. My lawyer confirmed that without Amy's consent or Luke claiming an affair, which he denies, a court-ordered test is unlikely, especially for Tom, who's nearly 18. Targeting the younger kids would require Luke to admit to an affair, which he won't do. Luke's urging me to drop this, saying it'll destroy everything. He's planning to talk to Tom firmly, emphasizing that pursuing Sophie could have legal consequences once he's 18. I suggested secretly testing Tom's DNA, but Luke found it unethical and warned that if Amy found out, it'd end our friendship with her. He spent the night at Amy's to do damage control, which I hated, but he insisted it was platonic. I barely slept, texting him for updates. We took our kids to visit Luke's parents, Jim and Kat, for a few days to get space from Amy's family. Kat revealed she's long suspected Luke and Amy were too close, possibly crossing lines, while Jim insists they're like siblings. Kat's suspicions aligned with mine, and she's treated Amy's kids as grandchildren partly because of this. Jim dismissed it, and they argued in circles. The kids think Amy and I had a fight and need space. Sophie's resistant to my warnings about Tom, interpreting them as tied to my conflict with Amy. She insists they're just friends, but is firm about staying close to him. Luke supports me on no dating but won't back banning their friendship. I'm kicking myself for not doing the secret test. I'll update if anything significant happens. Comments. Luke spending the night at Amy's is unacceptable. They're acting like a couple. Why is he staying over if nothing's going on? He should talk and go home to you and your kids. Get angry and talk to your lawyer again. Luke and Amy are the real couple and you're the side piece. Update 2. After much thought, I decided Sophie needed to know the truth immediately, regardless of the fallout. I kept her home from school and we talked privately. I explained my suspicions about Luke and Amy's closeness and the possibility that Tom could be her half-brother, making any romance impossible. Sophie was silent for a long time before suggesting we include Tom in the conversation. Tom met us, and I repeated my concerns, apologizing for not being upfront sooner. To my shock, Sophie and Tom revealed they'd already suspected Luke and Amy's affair. Tom had overheard suggestive conversations and sounds from Amy's room, pointing to Luke as her lover. He'd shared this with Sophie in January, and they both noticed Luke and Amy's unusual closeness. They suspected Kaylee's allergy meant Luke could be her father, and possibly Tom's too. They devised a plan. Their romance was a ruse to gauge reactions and gather evidence without destroying the family. Sophie wanted to tell me but hesitated, knowing it would devastate me. They apologized for keeping it from me. I'm stunned but relieved they're not in love, though I'm still grappling with the uncertainty and pain of this situation. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to leave a comment, hit subscribe, follow for more, and turn on the bell icon so you never miss the next one.